your back in Shavasana. Eyes start to drift closed. Feeling your body melt into the floor. Letting any tension from your day dissipate and dissolve. Starting to deepen your breath in through the nose. Noticing where you're feeling it come in. Maybe in your nostrils you feel a warm sensation. Maybe you really feel the emphasis of the breath in your belly. Beginning to ground yourself with your breath. And with each breath out, relax one muscle. Maybe you start with your face, working your way all the way down to your toes. Taking a few breaths like this. If you want, you can even take a cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Do that a couple more times if that feels good. One more time. Releasing a little bit further. Returning to the breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Starting to contemplate the idea of abundance. It's something that in our culture and society we often associate with money, and money is definitely something that there's no shame in wanting or needing because it's important, but a lot of the time in our pursuit of particular things or places in our career, etc., we forget to notice or we overlook the abundance that we have in our everyday life, whether it's our health, our friendships, our family, light coming in through the window, the ability to pet your cat or dog whenever you want. All of these things are signs of abundance. And so today I want us to try and kind of hone in on gratitude for what we have and also set an intention for any areas in your life, any areas. It can be career, money, friendship, where you want to cultivate a bit more abundance. And so as you breathe in this next breath, start to consider filling yourself up with a sense of what it is you want to cultivate, what abundance you want to receive. And a deep breath out, lengthening the breath, continuing to focus in on this intention, and remembering that abundance is all around us, beholding the abundance that surrounds you. Take a couple more deep breaths here. And if you get distracted in the class at any point, I invite you to introduce the Sanskrit mantra, so on the inhale, and hum on the exhale. And if you're joining, you can begin on your back or in a comfortable seated position, whatever feels best. Breathing in, so, breathing out, hum. Just thinking these sounds, what it means is I am that. It's an affirmation of your existence in this moment, and I think it helps to develop a sense of your gratitude and what it is you're striving for. And I'll remind you of this throughout the class. So again, just remembering to behold the abundance that surrounds you. And if you'd like, you can flutter your eyes open, still on our backs. Deep breath in, pulling the right knee toward the chest. Kind of circling it around, juicing up the joints, getting your hips open, and then slowly extending the right leg up. Grabbing a hold behind your thigh or your calf, whatever feels good, not forcing anything right now, just waking up the hamstrings a little bit. We'll be working our hamstrings and our hips today. Kind of move it around, whatever feels nice to warm up. Taking the left hand, slowly pulling the leg across the body, adduction here. You can lift that right hip off the ground if that feels good. You don't want to overdo it. This should feel really nice in your IT band. Moving within range, playing around with the stretch. And returning to center. Taking your leg in your right hand and pulling it open as far as feels good. Activating the groin muscle, giving it a nice little stretch. And on the next breath out, letting it go, releasing the leg down and pulling the left knee into the chest. Extending that leg up. Noticing any difference in sides. I went for a really long walk this weekend, which is not something I do a whole lot anymore. And my hamstrings were so knotted up. And I usually have a bum right hamstring. This week it's my left hamstring. So just acknowledging that, accepting my limitations in mobility and moving with my body and what it needs. Go ahead and move that right leg across your body, stretching out your IT band. And when you feel ready, open the leg up to the left, feeling a nice stretch in your inner thigh. And always remembering you can keep the knee bent here and just pull that leg open from your inner thigh. Releasing the leg down. Bending the knees and grabbing behind your thighs, rocking a couple times, rocking and rolling up to a seated position. We'll just be here for a minute. I forgot to start my timer. Seated position, hands on the knees. Take a deep breath in and find a bit of a cow position in your back. Just arching the back, puffing the chest up, filling your chest with air, relaxing the shoulders, and breathing out, pulling the navel toward your spine, concaving your belly, gazing down at your groin area. And continue a few times like this with your breath, breathing in to expand the heart, and breathing out. Pull everything in and feel a nice stretch in your back, waking up your spine. And just a couple more times. Introducing your breath and your movement, reminding your body how to move with your breath. And then make your way to hands and knees, continuing with cat-cow here with a little bit more range of motion. Remembering, though, to keep your abdominal muscles working a little bit to protect your spine so that you're not overstretching. That's always a nice trick whenever you're finding mobility in the lumbar region. Your abdominal muscles will protect it. A few more breaths, moving at your own pace. You're not here, wish I never had to say that. One more round, breathing in, coming into cow, and breathing out, coming into cat. Returning to neutral, taking the right knee, moving it forward, kind of like you're coming into pigeon, but not opening the thigh or the shin toward the top of your mat, just keeping your shin directly under your thigh bone. Pop your toes on your left foot under, straightening the legs. You should feel a nice stretch in your left hip here, waking up our hips. Again, find a cat-cow motion, breathing in, arching the spine slightly, feeling a deeper stretch in your psoas muscle, which goes from your abdominals all the way down your hips, the front of your hip. And breathing out, pulling the stomach in. You might feel a stretch in a different location there in your hip. Breathing in, cow shape, and breathing out, cat shape. Do this a couple more times. On the next breath out, plant the hands and pushing into your back toes, lift the whole right leg up, It's like a half plank and your knee is lifted toward your nose, holding for 3 counts. And then place your right foot down, coming into a low lunge, placing the knee back down. Right foot is between your hands in front of you. Deep breath in, right hand lifts up, twist to the right. Breathing out, circle the arm forward and down and around. Breathing in as it comes up. Moving in this way a couple of times, opening up your chest, your spine, your shoulder. One more time. Placing the hands back down, tucking the left toes under once again, and rising up into a high lunge. Arms overhead. Relaxed in the shoulders, finding squareness in the hips. Thinking a little deeper here. And then clasping the hands together with just your index fingers out, thumbs across each other. Feel like your hands are lifting your body a little higher, lifting you out of the lunge. You're still sunk down into the high lunge, but your spine is lengthening. And slowly dip your upper body forward, modified humble warrior. Making sure that your abdominal muscles are engaged. You're not just sinking onto your thigh bone here. Take a deep breath, put a little bend in your back knee, and push forward, stepping into chair. Hands come behind the head in this posture, trying to keep the heels down, weight back in your heels, but using the resistance of your hands against the back of your head to really feel yourself pushing up, chest lifting, spine long, everything engaged. Think a little bit deeper. And deep breath in, lifting everything up, arms overhead. Take the right hand, stretch it down, bending to the right like a reed in the wind. Feeling a nice deep stretch in your left side. Deep breath in, everything comes up, same to the left, stretching out the right side. Bringing everything up on a subtle baby back bend, hands still clasped above your head like we did in high lunge, keeping them pulled up straight toward the ceiling, feeling your chest lift toward the ceiling. So it's more of a chest lift than a back bend here. Release the arms down, swan diving forward, forward fold. Breathe in, lift halfway. Breathe out, release all the way down. Stepping into a downward facing dog. Taking a moment here to find a little stillness if you can, or if it feels better, like it does for me right now. Walk the feet out, feeling a nice stretch in your calves, feeling length in your spine, letting the head just hang. Then return to your hands and knees. Bring the left knee forward. We'll do the same thing on the left. Tucking the right toes under. Feel a nice stretch in that right hip. Breathing in, cow shape with your upper body. Feeling your chest open. Breathing out, cat. Moving with your breath. One more time. Preparing to press into your hands and your back toes, lifting that left knee up. Holding for 3, 2, 1, and gently stepping the foot down between your hands. Low lunge, twist up to the left. Deep breath in here and breathing out, circle the arm forward and back, breathing in as the arm comes back up. 2 more times. Then placing the hands down, make your way into a high lunge. Weight evenly distributed between your feet so that you're finding strength and stability. Firing that right hip forward so that both hips are square, relaxing the shoulders, finding extra length in the fingertips, and then clasping the hands together, pulling your chest up toward the sky as you tilt your chest forward into humble warrior. Take a couple deep breaths here. And bending the back leg a little bit, shifting both feet up to chair, hands behind the head. Holding here for a couple of breaths, really focusing on thinking a little deeper, lifting the heart, and keeping the spine as long as possible. Looking down, making sure your knees are on two parallel tracks. They're not splayed out or in. And deep breath in, lifting everything up, arms overhead, bending to the left. Lifting both arms up to center, and breathing out, bending to the right. Everything up, and swan diving forward. Forward fold. Deep breath in, halfway lift. Deep breath out, step back to plank. Holding here for a moment, finding length through your spine. Opening the chest and thinking to yourself, so hum, I am that. Just marveling at your existence right here, right now. Finding peace and stillness in the breath. One more deep breath in. Lower the knees. Elbows come tight toward your ribs. Lower yourself all the way down. Hands come under your shoulders. Relaxing your glutes, just using your back strength and trying not to use too much pressure in your hands. Lift yourself into a baby cobra. Breathing out, lower back down. One more time, breathing in. Cobra, maybe pushing up a little bit further this time so you have a little more spinal mobility now. And release. Pushing up into downward facing dog. One deep breath in together, through the nose, out through the mouth. Lifting the right leg up behind you, three-legged dog. Pulling the knee in toward the nose. Place the foot down. This time we're coming into a twist on the right, but our left knee is lifted. So we're in a twisted lunge. Same thing with the arms. Circling forward, breathing out. Breathing in as it comes back up. Circling. And in this position, you can always have a block under your hand, or you can tense your fingertips if that makes it a little easier, so that you're still finding length. Next breath in, coming straight to high lunge once again. With a breath in, lengthen everything, find more extension in your arms, feel energy shooting out your back heel, clasping the hands, coming forward into humble warrior. This time, placing the hands down on either side of your front foot, popping that left foot a little forward, maybe a foot forward. Toes come out at about a 45-degree angle, coming into pyramid posture. Really feeling that right hip pulling back as much as possible, getting a nice hamstring stretch here. Breathing in, finding a little bit of that cow shape again. And breathing out, finding more length, holding forward even more. From here, we're going to come back into chair. So bend that left knee a little, pop forward, lifting it up into chair. You can have your hands behind your head again. You can have them straight out in front of you. Sometimes in class, you're asked to have your arms on either side of your head, and it might be more in line with your shoulder joints and how they move to have them in front of your face. Either is fine. Just focus on length in the spine. Just breath in. On the breath out, sink 1 inch deeper. And breathing out, straighten up, bending to the right. Coming up to center. Bend to left. Up to center, stay here this time, hands come into prayer position. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Taking the right foot, bring it into tree pose. You can use your hand to help you if you want. Just make sure that your hips are in one line, that one's not up too far. It's always totally fine to have your foot down by your calf muscle as well. Finding a little stillness here for a moment. If you want to play with closing your eyes, go ahead. Really difficult, honestly. Deep breath in, lower the foot back down, arms up and overhead, and swan dive forward. Breath in, halfway lift. Deep breath out, step back into plank. This time you can lower your knees or keep your legs straight, coming into a chaturanga, and then either a cobra or an upward facing dog, whatever is in your practice. Deep breath out, press into downward facing dog. We'll start the other side. Deep breath in, lifting the left leg up and behind you. Breathing out, pulling the knee in toward the nose, placing the foot down between your legs, twisting to the left, twisted lunge, circling the arm with your breath. Noticing if you have a deeper range of motion in this version of the posture now that we've warmed up a little bit. And on the next breath out, place your hands down and breathing in, lift into a high lunge. Feeling that front foot rooted firmly into the floor. Feeling the ribs expanding open to the sides as you breathe in. Lengthen the spine always. Clasping the hands, tilting forward into humble warrior. Hands down, coming into pyramid on the left side. Trying not to lock that left knee, giving it a little micro bend if you have a tendency to be hyperextended. And finding breath and movement, breathing in with a cow shape, breathing out, sinking forward into a cat shape with your upper body. You can always also use blocks here to help you so that your hips are in alignment and square, because this can be honestly virtually impossible to do perfectly square for anyone. So I like to use the blocks when I can. And bending the left knee, stepping forward into chair. Arms out or behind your head. Deep breath in, sinking a little deeper, finding stillness, reminding yourself, I am that. And rising up, bending to the left, feeling a deep stretch in your right side. Everything comes up and bending to the right. Finding more mobility and more mobility as class goes on. Hands to prayer pose in front of your heart. Lifting the left leg up into tree. Finding stillness here. Deep breath in, lower everything down, arms up and overhead. And swan dive, breathing out. Pressing up, halfway lift. Bending all the way forward, stepping back into plank. Now, bending your elbows, come halfway down. Your knees can be bent if that feels better. And push yourself back up. And lower all the way into chaturanga, into up dog or cobra, whatever feels best. And breathing out, pushing back into downward facing dog. Taking 4 deep breaths here together. In through the nose, out through the nose. Feeling the heart rate slow a little bit. Coming back to what it is you are setting an intention for in this class. The abundance that you want to attract into your life. Lowering the knees, come into child's pose for a few more breaths, further grounding, further setting this intention. Noticing anything that's coming up in your body or your mind anything you're thinking of. It tells you a story and it gives you clues as to what's happening in your subconscious. And it's okay to listen. A couple more deep breaths here. And on the next breath out, start to press yourself back into downward facing dog. Meeting here, one breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Lifting the left leg up behind you, opening up the hip this time. Bending that right knee, keeping the right shoulder square to the mat, but just really feeling a nice opening in the hip and the right side body. Moving it around if that feels good. If you like, you can flip your dog, flipping around so that your weight is on both your right foot and your left foot. Left leg straight, right leg bent, chest up toward the ceiling. Or you can stay where you are. And breathing out, return to three-legged dog. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out, pulling the knee in toward the nose, holding for just a moment, and then placing the foot between your legs. Right hand up, twisted lunge once again. Taking your breath and circling the arm once more. Moving freely here, moving how your body wants you to move. One more circle. Hands down and pressing into high lunge. Shoulders relaxed, face relaxed. Breathing in, clasping the hands, coming into humble warrior once again on the right side. Really focusing on squaring that right hip back, left hip forward. And not letting yourself sink onto your right leg. You can be resting on it, but make sure your abs are engaged here. Placing the hands down, stepping the left foot forward, pyramid on the right, one more time. Breathing in, finding length in the spine, and breathing out, folding a little bit deeper. Doing that a couple more times. Really working these hamstrings tonight. Allowing yourself to feel freedom in your whole body. Bending the left knee, pushing forward into chair pose. Arms extended out in front of you. If you feel like you just can't hold it any longer, you can. Focus on lengthening the spine, putting the weight back in your heels, and really sinking those hips back until you might just fall. And breathing out, coming up to center. Hands in prayer position. Closing the eyes. So, So, Opening the eyes, breathing in, lifting the arms up and overhead. Holding to the right, nice side stretch. Everything up to center. And bending to the left, like a reed in the wind. Coming up, hands to prayer position. Right leg comes back into tree. Maybe this time you can get it a little higher on your own without help from your hands. Always making sure you're just not letting your foot rest on your knee. It can be above or below it. Breathing in, letting your branches grow if that feels safe to you. Or if you feel more stable, just focusing on one point with your hands in prayer, that is always fine. Staying on the left leg now, bringing the knee in toward the front, crossing that leg over, bending the left knee, crossing your legs like you're sitting on a bar stool, funky chair, sending the arms forward. You might find this easier than chair pose. I actually kind of do. I find it a little easier to lengthen my spine in this. But of course, there's the balancing aspect. One more deep breath in, and on the breath out, lifting up. Breathing in here, breathing out, swan diving forward. Breathing in, lift halfway. Breathing out, step into plank. Take a deep breath in, shoot yourself a little bit further forward. Breathing out, halfway down into a little push-up on your knees if you like. Coming back up. And breathing out all the way down. Cobra or up dog, whatever feels good. And meeting in downward facing dog once more. Deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Last time, lifting the left leg up, opening that hip. Feeling the left shoulder square to the mat, really seeing what happens when you move that leg around. I felt something pop in a good way. And if you like, go ahead and flip the dog. Extending the right leg long, left arm long in opposition. Wherever you are, coming back to three-legged dog, breathing out, leg extends long. Breathing in rather, breathing out, pulling the knee in toward the nose, holding for a moment, and then gently placing the foot down. Twisted lunge to the left, once more circling the arms with your breath. On your next breath out, placing the hands down and then breathing in. One last high lunge on the left. Expanding everything, really feeling like all of your limbs are getting longer with every motion. And clasping the hands, fingers out, humble warrior. Hands down on either side of your left foot, coming into pyramid on the left. Deep breath in. Finding length one last time in this posture. Breathing out, folding a little further forward. Doing this a few more times on your own time with your own breath. And then once more, stepping forward, coming into chair. Utkatasana. Sinking those hips back. Noticing if you are able to sink a little further back than you were at the beginning of class, if you have any more mobility. Noticing where heat is arising in your body here. Is it your thighs, and your abdominal muscles, and your shoulders? And sending your breath there. One more deep breath in, sinking deeper, and breathing out, lifting everything up. Bending to the left. Coming up with the breath in, and breathing out, bending to the right. Breathing in, everything up. Hands in front of your heart. Bringing your left foot into tree on the left. Making sure that your standing toes are straight forward and not out to the side, which is something that I always have to pay attention to for myself. Expanding your branches as you breathe in. Moving your arms however feels good. Taking a deep breath in, and on the breath out, moving that thigh inward, crossing it over the right, coming into funky chair. Arms extended out in front of you. Sinking a little deeper. And then stepping down. Now rotating, heel toeing is the word I'm looking for. Heel toeing your feet out wide. Slowly lowering forward, flat back. Toes may be pointed in a little bit. And just enjoying a nice wide-legged forward fold here. Feeling the weight of your head really pulling you down. Maybe feeling a nice opening through your spine, through your back muscles here. Grabbing your legs, touching the floor, whatever feels good. You can even press yourself a little further down if that feels okay. And you should notice a nice stretch along the outside of your calf muscle, maybe the outside of your shin, depending on how pigeon-toed you are. Deep breath in, rotating your weight toward your right leg, leaning toward the right as you hang. Taking a couple breaths here. And then walking through center to the left. And coming back to center. This time pointing the toes out, bending the knees, coming up into horse. Hands on the thighs, you can rock back and forth if that feels good. Maybe pushing one shoulder forward, feeling a nice stretch in the shoulder and back. And then the other. Oh, I felt another pop. Clearly I needed this. And when you feel ready, returning to center, stretching everything up, arms up, coming into star. Feeling as though your limbs are growing 3 inches longer in every direction. Hands to prayer position. Walk the heels a little closer together, a little wider than hip width distance. Toes pointing out, and slowly sink into malasana or squat. Trying to find length in your spine here, making sure that your knees are as open as possible, not sinking forward. You might want to widen your legs or your stance if that feels better. And try here to focus on relaxing your glute muscles, just letting them hang, letting them dangle. Noticing if that gives you a little more mobility if you kind of sink a little further. And you can also use your elbows to push open your thighs, and that allows you to kind of balance more easily. You can kind of tilt yourself forward. Playing around here, just another couple of breaths. And then slowly sinking all the way onto your booty, lowering all the way down. Taking your left knee, crossing it in front of you so your knee is straight forward. Alternatively, if it feels better, you can keep that leg straight. And then crossing the left leg over so that the sole of your right foot, crossing your right leg over so the sole of your right foot is on the left of your left thigh. Really squaring those hips, making sure both sits bones are even on the ground. And then breathing in, left arm comes up and overhead, and you can either hook the elbow to the inside, the outside of your right thigh, or you can just grab the knee and pull, twisting yourself to the right, putting weight in that back hand to help you lengthen the spine. Taking 5 deep breaths here in this twist. One more deep breath in. And breathing out, see if you can twist a little further, relaxing that right hip a little bit. Notice if it allows you more mobility. And then coming through center, open the legs wide into a wide leg straddle. I always have to kind of shift myself because I have really large glute muscles, we'll just put it that way. And so sometimes you have to do a little shifting so that you can find your sits bones and make sure that you're upright on your pelvis, that it's tilted forward enough that your spine can stay long. And if it feels better, you can sit on a blanket, whatever feels right, keeping those toes actively flexed up toward the ceiling. And you can either stay here, or if it feels good, start to walk your hands forward. preparing to take 5 deep breaths here, wherever you find your edge between what's painful and what's too comfortable. Feeling yourself reconnecting with the earth, so many points of your body now attached and grounded. Finding those long breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. And returning to your intention. What abundance you'd like to attract. What abundance you would like more of. A couple more deep breaths. I lied, I said 5 deep breaths, but it didn't seem long enough. One more deep breath in, and on the breath out, see if you can sink a little bit further, but keeping your spine comfortable. And breathing out slowly, walk yourself back up. This time bending the right knee, or keeping that right leg straight if that's the version that you chose. Crossing the left leg to the outside of your right thigh. And finding some squareness in the hip, left sit bone pulling down toward the ground. Breathing in, right arm up, and either crossing it or grabbing that left leg, whatever feels best. Imagining that a string is pulling the crown of your head up toward the ceiling, lengthening your spine. Your sit bones stay on the floor, but you grow taller. 4 more deep breaths. With every breath out, feeling a little bit more release in that left hip, in that left glute. One more deep breath in. Breathing out, release one little bit further, and then come through center. Feet flat on the floor, knees bent. We're going to take a moment to hold a boat pose. So whatever feels best to you. You can always have your hands back to support you, knees bent at a 90-degree angle, tabletop, extended, whatever. You can also have your arms out in front of you, knees bent, legs extended. But we're going to be here for 5 breaths. If you're shaking, that's okay. That's great. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grabbing the backs of the thighs, not the knees, grabbing the backs of the thighs, bend the knees, and slowly lower, feet flat on the floor, onto your back, feeling as though one vertebrae at a time is gently lowering down. For a moment, coming into goddess, soles of the feet together, knees open. We'll be here for about a minute. So if it feels good to you to pad yourself in any way, please do. Hands wherever feel good on your body, sending breath to that part of your body. And thinking, I behold the abundance that surrounds me. I behold the abundance that surrounds me in gratitude. A few more deep breaths here. Slowly hands on the outsides of your thighs, close your knees together. Maybe rock back and forth, swinging the knees from side to side, giving yourself a nice little back massage, hitting that spot where your buttocks and your back meets. I know I get a lot of tension there, so this always feels so good. And then when you're ready, keeping the left sole of the foot planted on the floor, cross the right ankle over the right thigh, opening that right knee as much as you can. And if that feels good, stay right there. Otherwise, lift the left thigh up so that you're in a reclined figure 4 position. And you can either, you have a lot of options. You can grab lacing through that hole, grab behind your thigh, or even if you need more, grab the outside of your shin, pulling the leg towards you and using your right elbow to open that right thigh, feeling a nice deep stretch in your outer hip and your outer glute. This is similar to what you would get in a pigeon pose. It's similar to a reclined pigeon. If you would like even more, you can come into a reclined pigeon, extending that left leg long and just cradling the right shin basically in your arms. But for me today, figure 4 is perfectly fine. I'm a little stiff for me. Slowly start to keep everything where it is, but lower it all to the left so that the right sole of the foot comes near or to the floor. You can also put something underneath you if that feels better. And gaze to the right, keeping the right shoulder down, just feeling a little bit deeper of a twist here and a little bit more of a stretch in that right outer thigh, outer glute, outer hip. With every breath out, release any tension that you're holding in your shoulders, your face. Try and release anything mental you might be holding on to. And one more deep breath in. Put on the breath out, lifting everything back up to center, lowering down and coming into the same posture on the right. Left leg crosses, pulling everything in, opening up that left thigh with your left elbow. Reclined figure 4. Noting any differences now that you've finished class or almost finished class, any differences in each side of your body or any difference from the beginning of class to now, and just thanking yourself for showing up. It's almost the weekend. It can be exhausting at this time of day to contemplate doing anything physical, so I'm proud of you all for being here. And slowly dipping everything to the right, gazing to the left, keeping that left shoulder down. Sometimes what I like to do here is put my hand in the crease of my left hip, just pressing, creating more space. You might feel more of a stretch that way, less, but it's something to play around with when you do this. One more deep breath in and deep breath out, releasing even further. And then coming back up, pulling the knees in toward the chest, hugging your head towards your knees. One last squeeze. And releasing into Shavasana, letting everything completely melt. Putting a bolster or a blanket under your knees if that feels good to help support your lower back, which can sometimes lift off the ground. Just doing anything you need to fully melt into the floor. Softening the breath. And focusing on the mantra. So, accepting yourself for all that you are in this moment, appreciating yourself for all that you are in this moment. And letting your practice marinate for a little bit in silence, eyes closed if they're not already. If you'd like to stay in your Shavasana for a little longer, you're more than welcome to. But if you would like to end the class together, take a few more deep breaths, sending breath to your fingers and your toes, feeling a subtle, maybe not even perceptible, cat-cow motion in your spine as you wake your body back up. And rolling onto whatever side feels better. Taking one more breath here. One deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Pressing yourself up to a seated position, eyes still closed. Find a moment to find a comfortable seat and bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart. Chin slightly dipped. Allowing yourself to feel gratitude for this practice. Reminding yourself of the intention you set for what abundance you want to attract. Knowing that you can, and that all abundance that you seek is derived from an infinite source. There is enough for all of us, for anything that we desire. There's no such thing as scarcity when it comes to the things that really fulfill us and make us happy. One more deep breath in together, in through the nose, filling everything up, and out through the nose. Thank you so much for practicing today with me. Namaste.